play that are going on between these two decks.
Definitely, especially combined with Cresselia level X. So if he isn't able to immediately get any damage counters with the Ampharos onto the Garchomp, he can easily just move that damage onto the Garchomp with the Cresselia to put the damage onto the Garchomp itself before he's able to get Healing Breath off.
I think if both decks were to get fully set up, Al's deck with the Ampharos probably has the edge, but we'll see if OmniPoke lets that happen. His deck is notorious for pulling off really quick Dragon Rushes, so we'll see if that is the counter to the Stage 2 setup deck.
I'd agree. Quick Dragon Rush is probably one of Poke's biggest threats right here, but if he isn't able to get that off, say turn 2, then he's definitely going to be in danger in the long game here.
We're going to be heading into the game right now, and actually off stream, OmniPoke was able to take down Davi's spread deck 2-1. So we'll see if the Ampharos spread deck is going to fare better than the straight Cresselia spread.
Yeah. I think Ampharos is a better matchup than Cresselia spread deck does. And because Ampharos is able to get off the passive damage counters on that a more Cresselia-based spread deck does. I mean, he is still running the Cresselia to get that incidental damage counters off to get the spread with VA Self. But you don't really see that too much of a pain coming from the Garchomp.
Right. All right, let's go ahead and switch over to the game. I believe it's about ready to get started, and yep, there we go. So, OmniPoke starting off with the Weavile G and using its call for family attack, searching for Garchomp C and Skuntank G, some of the most important Pokemon in his deck.
That Skuntank is really going to be threatening in the coming turns, especially because OmniPoke has a Verbank City in his hand, threatening 30 damage and poison every turn, in between each turn on the active. But thankfully, on BestPalAl side, he does have a rare candy and an evolution incense in hand, allowing him to immediately get an Ampharos into play with that rare candy.
And
in
this cube, rare candy is played as pre-errata, so Ampharos going to be hitting the field extremely quickly.
The rare candies are played as written. I believe there are actually both types of rare candy, though I could be wrong here. I believe though I'm not sure if it's either pre-errata and post-errata candy, though it could just be a Pokemon breeder in its place. I don't recall.
This one is definitely pre-errata.
Yes, that beautiful sandstorm art.
Let's see. Al also has, in addition to that Evolution Incense and Rare Candy combo, he also has Lynette's Net Search that he's playing right now, and that is huge for a Stage 2 tech to get that many basics out on the first turn.
Yes. He could probably grab, say, an Azelf, a couple other basic Pokemon to really start searching. He does have that level X in hand as well. So that could be a huge turn.
Do you think it's worth... So, Al has 2 setup Pokemon in the Clef and the Chatot, and there you go, there's the Chatot right away. Do you think it's worth retreating into that this turn, even though it gets rid of your energy attachment?
I think it would be, actually. Because what you could do here is either search up for a different... And he's not really going to be getting an attack off the Mareep. Or any Ampharos, I don't think, has a single energy attack.
Yeah.
So he's just letting the Ampharos sit there otherwise. So the setup attack off the Chatot would be much better.
He's not playing the Evo Incense for a candy combo.
That is interesting.
Candies are post-errata, says chat. Okay, yeah,
okay.
That's probably why.
Yeah.
Just the Sandstorm candy throwing us off our game.
interesting that he was playing with the old art then, because that is something that could functionally change the way the game is played.
I guess that is on us also.
Yeah.
OmniPoke going in with the Janine. I remember watching his draft and him picking up this Janine late into the draft. It's not the best support in the world, but when in Cube, sometimes you don't get everything you want, and it's actually, it's quite decent. So
Yeah.
doing what it needs to do.
And it does that well. And Dal has the opal in hand, so if he is able to get a single heads off it, he could get the rare candy into Ampharos if he wants to.
Good. That is true.
He has 3 Mareep and Bends, so he could also play that Flaffy.
Looks like OmniPoke is going to retreat this B-file and go into Staraptor.
Probably a smart play, given that he does have 2 SP radars in hand.
Right.
To grab one for the level, but get the level X next turn. Oh, but he has double tails off the opal. Always a painful sight to see.
I think we've seen a few too many double tails on opals this tournament so far. Really unfortunate.
It's one of those really sad cards that either you get double tails on it or your opponent gets double heads, and either way it just feels really horrible.
It's so interesting that although opal gets you 1 card of your choosing on average, it would just be like such a better card if it just got you 1 card without the flips.
Yeah. The problem is searching your deck for any 1 card on a supporter may just be a tad too strong.
And especially in the cube format.
I mean, you have Red's Challenge, which is discard 2 to search for anyone.
Right. Very true. So Al is going to go ahead and evolve into Flaffy. Probably going to attach and mimic again, I would imagine. No, instead he's going to retreat. He doesn't want the Chatot to... Oh yeah, the Chatot would get knocked out into going back into OmniPoke's turn because of that Verbank, so he doesn't want that to happen.
Yeah, probably a smart move there. Cresselia has free retreat thanks to the Verbank City being in play.
Right.
So it's a rather safe option there.
OmniPoke's going to go for the SP Radar, probably going to look for that Staraptor FB level X. There it is.
Yep. Now he has constant supporter search to get any card he wants. And with his phenomenal suite of supporters, he can probably just get any card he wants from here on out.
Gonna retreat into that Garchomp C.
Control the board if he wants. Because he does have access to cards like Judge and Teammates.
Yeah. He's probably going to use that Professor Oak here into another supporter, which is just such a powerful turn coming from OmniPoke. That Professor Oak, probably one of the strongest trainers available in the cube.
Yeah. And then he's going to get a supporter off with the Staraptor FB.
And there's the
interesting that he chose not to use Staraptor FB first to activate the SP Radar. So I guess there's not really any cards he's really interested in getting right now with that radar.
Yeah, I think he'd rather make sure that he can get the attack off this turn.
Yeah.
Being able to fast call into Cyrus's Conspiracy. I don't know if he needs anything from SP Radar, especially with getting that Garchomp off the Professor Oak.
Also, I apologize for my comment earlier on the supporters. I realized I was looking at the wrong deck list. I was looking at BestPalAl supporters and not OmniPokes.
OmniPoke has a bunch of interesting supporters too, though, like the Mina.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
OmniPoke plays down the Poochyena. He does have the Mightyena in hand, which is a great free energy attacker when you have that poison structure Skuntank and a Stadium on the field. And he goes for a Dragon Rush, knocking out that Flaffies, which sets Al back quite far behind.
Another interesting supporter that may actually come up this match is Dana, which we haven't seen much of yet, but he has it. Well, OmniPoke has it in his deck, where it can only be played if the opponent's active as a stage 2, but it's search your deck for any 2 cards and put them in your hand. In the Staraptor FB, you can search it only when his opponent's active is a stage 2, so when Ampharos is active, and then play Dana. And Dana's one of those cards that I think is very underutilized in Cube.
I don't think OmniPoke has gotten much value out of that card so far this tournament, but it could be huge in this matchup.
It's one of those cards that's extremely matchup dependent, because if your opponent doesn't run stage 2s, as many of these top decks don't seem to be doing, it's just an absolute dead card in your deck. It's really only fodder for cards like SP Radar, or cards that you want to discard from your hand. But
here's another Opal from OmniPoke right after Al uses Mimic to try and get back into this game. Tails?
And another double
Tails.
Tails. 4 Tails from
Classic
Opal this game.
Opal. Trolling you just like in the games when she asks you how old she is or whatever.
Opal really showing us why she's the fairy type gym leader here. The type of trickster Pokemon.
Is true. So it looks like OmniPoke is just going to retreat and let the poison knock out that Chatot. OmniPoke definitely in the lead, and Al's hand is quite unfortunate, I would say. 3 rare candies.
Yeah.
No Ampharos.
And way to
No
get
generators. Most of this hand is not very helpful.
Yeah.
And well, you don't really want to. And here's the judge.
Yeah. I think that was the best thing he could do here. But he tries a Roxy, which would force him to discard the Ampharos if he wants to use it. Don't think that's what he wants to do next turn.
Al attaches a Psychic and a Hard Charm to the Azov as well, and we saw in Davi's match that Azov can be an extremely powerful attacker, but it does require damage on the field first. So right now it's not doing much and not threatening much.
Yeah. Can't do anything right now. He needs to get some sort of damage off on the opponent. Of course, OmniPoke is still racking up that damage. Would have been interesting to see him retreat the Weavile first into Mightyena to get the knockout on Cresselia.
He still can do that, right? Or did he just poison right away?
He shook the Skuntank.
Okay.
Implying that he actually used the
Gotcha. Sorry, I missed
poison
that.
structure.
Yeah, that would have probably been a pretty good play, but you know, he's probably thinking that there's nothing super threatening on the board. There's no need to start putting damage on your Mightyena.
Yeah, that is true. He probably doesn't want to have the Azelf to be live.
Right.
But also at this point, if I'm playing an OmniPoke's position, I probably don't want to give my opponent a chance to start setting up. With 3 cards in my opponent's hand and no real attackers, I don't want to give them a chance to start setting any of them up.
OmniPoke is going to retreat into Garchomp C, level X. I think he already attached return, so he's probably just going to go for that Claw Swipe. Oh, no, he has the Dark Patch. Missed that. So he can go ahead and Dark Patch onto the Weavile G and then use that Galactic Switch. So he gets a 2 energy turn off of that TV reporter.
And which Pokemon is he gonna hit? Oh, did he?
Doesn't
Oh,
Galactic
he just
Switch
Claw
yet this
Swipes.
turn. So he just Claw Swipes.
He rocks. He's discarding both Flaffy and Ampharos.
These are not cards that Al probably wants to discard, but you kind of have to at this point. Your hand otherwise is so sad. Draws into.
And it was smart of OmniPoke not to use the Galactic Switch, though. So if he did do it, it would start putting damage counters in the Bronzong so that Shining Eyes could start hitting it later.
Shining Eyes would hit it, and then also, if Al ever gets that damaged by an Ampharos out, he can't Galactic Switch anymore. So
or actually, no, he didn't even need to do that, because if it's 2 damage counters on the Bronzong, we should leave it at 70. And then you could deep balance it for 30 if you wanted to. Do even more. And prevent it from switching. And then you can only get one more switch off it before Shining Eyes would knock it out.
Those 2 damage counters every time Bronzong G uses that Galactic Switch ability can be very relevant very quickly in many different ways. So OmniPoke just waiting to use it until he absolutely needs it. He didn't feel like he super needed it last turn, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Earthquake would have knocked out that Cresselia, but it would have put his board in a much worse spot because of that Azelf on the field.
Yep.
Claw Swipe makes sense there. We saw Al, after his Roxy, just retreat into this Marie. Doesn't have the rare candy, doesn't have a Flaffy, so board is still looking not super. OmniPoke going to Gladion. He gets the Mina from the prizes. He has Mina and also has Lucamine in his hand, so can definitely go for some. Oh, he chooses to get a Lily instead, actually. Back. Shuffles his prizes. Doesn't have any energy, but I would imagine actually I'm not sure what happened there. I think he knocked out the Mareep with something. The Mareep has 60 HP. Do you know what happened there? Oh, he did Claw Swipe plus Poison Structure for the knockout.
Yep.
There you go. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So lots of pressure being put on Al right now.
Yeah.
Al uses Scott, gets that Curse Stone. That'll be really important to do damage to Pokemon with abilities and Poke Powers, but also just to shut off that Burbank City gym.
Yeah. And it shuts off Skuntank too. Because Skuntank only works if the owner has the stadium in play.
Right. Yeah, that's huge. Oh. So it looks like Al scooped it up.
Yeah.
Although he had the Curse Stone to stop the Burbank, he didn't really have much else. So we're going on to game 2.
A crucial piece might have been prized.
I see. Yeah, that could definitely be true. It looks like Al was a little bit unlucky, but
yeah,
I think that is kind of the case sometimes with these stage 2 decks. What do you think?
Sometimes you just get really bad draws. Like we saw he drew 3 candies for nothing to use them with that really big hand draw. Yeah, so I think he just needs to believe in the heart of the cards more, something like that, and get a better draw. Maybe be careful with Gentleman Mulligans if he decides to do any of that. And from there on, try to adjust from that.
Like Al is mulliganing here.
Yep.
In game 2. It looks like OmniPoke's deck has the advantage just because it's so much easier to get your attackers out when your attackers are a basic and a level X. But, you know, I would like to see Al get some Ampharos out and actually see two decks brawl it out.
I agree. And Al being on the on going second here is actually really important for him because he has so many supporters. So if he can play the nets and then use one of those Pokemon to get with Pokemon Trader, he could actually be in a decent spot. I'm not sure if he has any into the battlefield basics to get extra card draw, but if he does, that'll be
He has
really
a
helpful.
Cleffa and a Chatot. The Chatot we saw last game.
Oh, that's right.
We'll see
So
if he chooses to use that this turn.
Okay, so if he can get a Chatot, Mareep, and then
Two Mareep.
no, you can't get to Mareep because of Lynx.
Oh, right.
But he could get a third junk Pokemon and toss one back from Mareep.
Right. Yeah, that might be the play.
Although we might want to get an evolution. Oh wait, no, that wouldn't be a good idea because it's going to shuffle it back anyways. He may not even use that trader here. Oh, he's tossing back to level X. That makes sense. Probably getting a second Mareep here. Yep. And the retreat, send up the Chatot to get a new hand of 7. This is a great start for him.
Much better for sure. And actually, it looked pretty decent for Al last game as well. Just couldn't hit the rare candy and the Ampharos at the same time.
Yeah.
Except for that first turn when he couldn't play it.
Now he has a Flaffy and a Cresselia level X in hand.
That's kind of
nice.
nice.
Level X.
And he can retreat into the Cresselia next turn. The only concern is that whatever Mareep he chooses to evolve into Flaffy will definitely be the target for OmniPoke.
Mm-hmm.
OmniPoke is going to go ahead and Trevor.
Probably going to get a Staraptor.
Yeah.
Actually, no, probably not, because Call for Family would get it. Doesn't really have a way to call for family.
Go for Baltoy. He could go for Garchomp C level X.
Probably not the level X right now. Staraptor is probably what he wants to go for. So if he wanted level X, he'd do it on a turn where he can already level up. So his hand doesn't get disrupted.
I wonder if he plays Professor Oak this turn. If he
does,
yeah, that would get rid of
his Pokemon Recovery is in hand, and Staraptor FB level X.
He could go. I don't know if this is the right play because this is very aggressive. But he could Trevor for like a Baltoy and then Professor Oak. But getting rid of that Staraptor and the time space distortion, probably not great.
Yeah.
I would definitely consider that play though, for sure.
Oh, it is good the Baltoy.
Looks like that's might be what he's gonna do. Put the Poochyena, play the Twin Energy, and then Oak. Staraptor FB level X was a huge part of last game, so yeah, so that isn't the play. He's just gonna go ahead and get the Baltoy and pass. Maybe trying to go for Opal into Claydol next turn. So that is also a pretty good play. Just has to
So
hit the
I could
75%.
see Al retreating Chatot into Cresselia, and then moving a damage counter over to Garchomp in the hopes that he can shut off its power next turn.
Be pretty good.
ATM Rock? Just trying to empty hand? Because that gets discarded at the end of next turn.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think ATM Rock does a lot for you in this matchup. It might matter, but I'm not sure if there's a specific reason or something he's playing around specifically by getting rid of it. Maybe he just doesn't want it in his deck in general.
He
If
probably
he's
wanted
going
to
to
get.
Shovel
Oh, he
Dragon.
probably wanted to get rid of it for the Mimic.
Uh,
Because it doesn't do anything in this matchup. Except evolve my Diana. Which isn't exactly very relevant. Also evolves Claydol, but that's also not very relevant.
mhm.
It's not a stage 2 level X matchup where evolving a 140 HP level X or Gold Duck Break into a 60 HP basic does a lot.
It's true.
Or
OmniPoke
80
getting the
HP
double
stage 1.
heads on this Opal, grabbing the Claydol like we were talking about earlier, and
Definitely
everything
makes up
else.
for the 4 previous tails that we saw
True,
last
true.
game. Had to happen eventually with untapped, slightly wonky coin flips.
I imagine he grabs level X here to kill that Flaffy, but we'll see. Instead, he goes for a capture energy. Scarshop C is blinked out. That makes sense to go for a capture energy in this context.
Yeah.
He seems to know his deck better than I do because now with the Claydol and the Professor Oak, he can try and go for a double knockout here, which would be really huge.
And he doesn't have a double knockout because there's no Verbank.
Right. He doesn't have it yet, but he can go for it with this cosmic power Professor Oak. He needs to hit Verbank and he needs to hit the Garchomp C level X. So there's one piece. The Garchomp C.
Surprisingly, put back. Oh, we did put back 2 cards.
We'll
He
see if
did
he
put
wants to
the
dig
Oak.
for it with the Oak this turn.
Can see him putting down the Pushiana. It's not even playing a Pushiana. Wow.
Doesn't need them in this matchup. He needs the bench space. Probably wants to keep the bench space for a Bronzong G so he can keep the Dragon Rushes going.
That's fair.
But he
And does
doesn't
not
hit
hit
the
the
Verbank.
Verbank. That's disappointing for him. Is he going to Dragon Rush to Flaffy, or is he just going to go for the Claw Swipe? It's a question that should
That's
be
a good
asking.
question.
He just goes for the Claw Swipe.
So it looks like Al might actually get an Ampharos out of this game, which
Yeah,
is what we wanted to see. So that's good.
he might actually get 2 later on. He has 2 Flaffy in hand.
Yeah. So Al goes for that jamming Ampharos.
Mm-hmm.
Every time OmniPoke plays a supported card from his hand, he has to put one damage counter on each of his Pokemon.
That's fun. Right? Then we get attract current Flaffy to load up the bench. So overall, pretty good turn for Al.
That makes sense. And I don't know if I would have seen that play, but it's quite smart because that Flaffy is no safer on the bench than is active. So might as well get some mileage out of it.
Yep.
Go over to OmniPoke's turn.
And now it also thins out the deck for Al a little bit to hopefully
Right.
draw some more supporters or another Ampharos or anything else.
OmniPoke has Cosmic Power in play, but he has a lot of stuff in his hand that he can't really use.
Yep.
He has a lot of basics, and he can only play one of them. He has Mina without any fairy energy, and his ways to search out more Pokemon. Let's see what he ends up doing. He attaches a Call to Weavile.
And where he is now, if he uses Cosmic Power, he doesn't even draw anything.
Right.
He has 8 cards in hand, and Cosmic Power only draws 6.
It is looking much, much better for Al than it did last game.
Oh, yeah. Still has a long battle ahead of him, but he's definitely in a better position.
Oh, Mina's actually searched your deck for a fairy energy. That is my bad. I thought it was from hand. But so he goes ahead and uses it, and attaches it to the bench Garchomp. And of course, that jamming Pokebody coming into play, doing 10 to all.
Yep. Meaning Azelf is now live.
True, that is huge.
But I don't
Al
think Azelf
probably.
wants to.
Oh, I was just gonna say Al probably wants the damage binds to come out just so Garchomp Sea Level X can't Healing Breath away all this damage off the SPs,
Yeah.
but we'll see if that actually gets to happen.
I don't think Azelf wants to attack though until Garchomp Sea Level X is gone.
Yeah.
So it isn't really any safer on the bench than it is in the active.
True. We'll see what ends up being the play.
Oh, he does get a double
Cosmic
colorless.
Powers
That's
for
pretty good.
2. Yeah, DCE is really huge. OmniPoke just goes ahead and Dragon Rushes the active, which makes sense. He doesn't want that damage bind to come out. Al bringing up that Cresselia, attaching an energy to it.
Especially the Rainbow, that makes sense because he's going to heal away anyways, and he doesn't want the damage in any of his other Pokemon.
Yeah, smart. Al's gonna swing. This is decent pressure on OmniPoke,
Yeah.
but Al's hand leaves a lot to be desired.
I guess he only playing the Mr. Fuji here to keep the Garchomp alive.
True, that is definitely a good option.
Not
We
to
have
mention
one
the fact
pint
that
ball in the chat saying Al's hand didn't look like this in my games.
yeah. Not to mention the fact that OmniPoke still has that other Garchomp C and level X in hand. So Mr. Fuji putting that other Garchomp back into his deck. Along with the double colorless from hand coming back down onto the new active. All the while not relying on any supporters.
He might just
Pretty
Healing Breath
devastating.
his bench Garchomp C and save that Mr. Fuji for later.
That's true.
I wonder what attack he goes for here.
Yeah. Maybe Dragon Rush on the bench stays elf.
Yeah, that seems okay. OmniPoke goes ahead and uses Mr. Fuji. But not on the Garchomp Sea Level X like we were talking about.
Huh.
Ends up
No, he
playing
costs.
this.
Wait, what does he use it on?
I forget what was out.
No, he still has 5 bench.
I thought I just played it on something and then put down a Star. I think you just played it on a Staraptor and put down a Staraptor or something.
Oh.
Something along those lines.
Weird. That's weird.
I think he just wanted it in his hand for costing power, probably. He goes and uses Janine. Grabs Furbank, which is huge. That is really, really
And
important.
Poketurn. It's also huge.
Yeah. Furbank is going to make it so that he can knock out this active Cresselia with Dragon Rush this turn.
Yeah, that's even more relevant than the Azelf right now.
And that's really problematic for Al, because this is the only attacker he has set up.
Mm-hmm. So you could Dragon Rush this turn, and then if he needs to, he can even Earthquake the Azelf next turn and kill it with Skuntank.
Was much better than it was going the first game, but Healing Breath, healing all the work that Al has done so far, and then Dragon Rush, Poison Structure being able to kill his tanky Cresselia just like that. I don't know if Al is going to be able to come back from this.
It's definitely looking scary for him.
Al plays a Rayquaza EX and attaching the energy and just passes. OmniPoke goes ahead and uses Poison Structure.
I wonder if it's just going to poke a turn and then Dragon Rush the Azelf next turn. This turn. Right, Data Poison.
There's definitely a possibility. If I were in OmniPoke's position, though, I'd probably just Claw Swipe and play it slower. See if that's what he chooses to do.
Or maybe hit the Rayquaza.
Yeah, that could be the play. OmniPoke is only at 3 prizes, so knocking out this Marie, there it goes. With the Claw Swipe Poison Structure combo, going down to 2 prizes for OmniPoke, which is very dangerous for Al because that Rayquaza EX gives up 2 prizes. So
yeah, Rayquaza X is definitely a very scary thing to have in the field right now, especially when all you have in hand is a Fluffy and Ampharos.
looking pretty doomed.
Yeah, it's a little bit right now. This game is looking as good as gone, unfortunately. To add insult to injury, plays the Team Flare Grunt. Although that will put 1 damage counter on each of his Pokemon. But he is probably pretty confident that Al doesn't have any Psychic Energy in hand.
To mention that he's just going to knock out the Azelf anyways. Probably with Earthquake Poison Structure.
Yeah. Well, if you play Team Flare Grunt, you probably wouldn't. Probably going to Claw Swipe.
Yeah, okay.
So you can bring out one of the other Pokemon up next turn.
That is
without worrying about a Rayquaza Retaliation.
Right.
Oh, did it top deck the Psychic?
Here we go. Al's gonna do something.
Gonna Shining Eyes?
Problem with this is that it's gonna die going into OmniPoke's turn, so he just chooses to retreat instead.
You could take a prize off the Claydol, and that's what he chooses to do.
Taking out the Claydol. But OmniPoke shouldn't be afraid at all. He can just Claw Swipe and then it's in Dragon Rush range. It doesn't even need to. He can just knock it out with Poison Structure, Dragon Rush for the game.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be it.
Yeah.
And we'll move on soon to Odysseus versus OmniPoke in the losers bracket finals.
Yep.
That's not a matchup that we've seen yet, but it should be quite interesting. Both players have made it quite far in this tournament, being in essentially the top three at this point.
Yeah. Definitely interesting. One deck is focused more on a more defensive strategy, focused around healing on the Suicune. The other
Right.
deck is
Yeah.
built more around an aggressive healing and resilience with its Garchomps.
It's like both players are wrapping it up. It's a bit disappointing that the stage 2 deck couldn't really battle against the Garchomp Sea Level X's, even with the damage bind potential, but it kind of makes sense. OmniPoke's deck is just so consistent and to can rush you over and over again.
Yeah. Garchomp's is too consistent when it has access to more than 4 copies of a Garchomp.
4 Garchomp C's, 3 DCE essentially,
And
um,
2
Nina,
Garchomp Sea Level X.
2 Garchomp Sea Level X, right?
This is crazy when you think that when it was legal in Standard, you can only have a 2-2 or a 3-1 line.
I'm excited to see what happens in the next match and also in grand finals. I know that OmniPoke actually lost to Mike Gibbs, I believe, who is waiting in the finals for the winner of the losers finals. So
Yeah.
we'll have to see how that ends up.
Look forward to it.
Yeah, I think that'll be all from us for now while we wait for the other games to set up. So let's go ahead and pause. We'll be right back after a quick break.